Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you everyone for coming. Inshallah, we're going to get started in a few minutes. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. This is also going to be recorded on YouTube, so you can also share the link with anyone who was not able to make it and they were interested, inshallah. Sister Mahira, please, I would like to introduce Sister Mahira, who's a board member and a volunteer, mashallah, and she will introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you, Sheikh Thabit. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this special event. Unfortunately, Dr. Hiba, who was supposed to be here, the one who was advertised to come here tonight, she couldn't make it due to a last-minute emergency, but we do have here today Sister Nabia from the same center, Khalil Center, which is a Muslim-based counseling center that provides counseling services to Muslims. The Khalil Center has several different chapters, including Los Angeles, Chicago, even Canada, and they all provide counseling services for families, for adults, for children, and they also provide religious consultation services. So if married couples or families have any questions with regards to fiqh, they are able to help with that as well. Sister Nabia is an MFT, which is a marriage and family therapist. She has experience working with adults and children. She has worked with people of all different kinds of backgrounds, including Spanish, African, South Asian, and obviously Muslim clients. And interestingly, she is a former refugee. She was born in Afghanistan and moved to Pakistan, and then later moved to the United States. So she's been here for over 20 years now, and she can speak 4 languages, mashallah. So she can speak Dari, Pashto, Urdu, and English. So I also wanted to point out that she believes in the holistic, more humanistic approach to counseling, but she also uses other approaches as well. And she's going to be sharing with us her insight. And we're really excited to have her here. So please help me welcoming Sister Nabia.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair for the introduction. Um, yeah, so hopefully if you guys have any questions, we can go over that. If you have questions for me, we can go over that inshallah later on. Thank you for having me. My first time, me and my family's first time visiting here. Excited to meet you guys and see how this community is. And yeah, alhamdulillah, it's a blessing to go around and travel and meet other Muslims. This a disclaimer I just wanted to put there. This is an interactive workshop, so be ready to kind of do the work for yourself. I'll kind of be just monitoring you. I'll make you do the work. You don't have to be married to participate. It's a healthy practices to some of exercises that's going to be good for us regardless. Let's see. Yeah, and if there's something, anything that's triggering you, or it's just a sensitive topic comes up, please do step away. If anything is triggering while I'm talking about this sort of topic, I want to be mindful of that and don't want to cause any harm to anyone. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. So the topic of marriage and family obviously is a very relatable to all of us. And just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has emphasized this and also is emphasized in the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam over and over, it is a nurturing, a loving with love and compassion, just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described it as like a garment, a protection supposed to be. In this workshop, we are gonna basically try to touch base on some of the knowledge and skills to help ourselves basically. So I'm gonna be just like bringing some reminders. There might be stuff that you probably already know about, and it will be a reminder for all of us, inshallah. And like I said, while we are doing this, I'll have some exercises that will help you out to work and to learn and explore about yourself. So why is this topic important, first of all? Well, if you think about it, as soon as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human creation, the first thing he did was created a couple, of course, for Adam alayhi salam. From the very beginning, this was something that was important, right? Adam alayhi salam was not wandering around alone on earth or in Jannah, I would say, just enjoying the Jannah, because even Jannah will not be so enjoyable if you don't have any family and social interaction, and especially a spouse. So this is in part of our history from the very beginning. So it is a very important topic, an important concept to keep in mind. Why is this important? Because there's, as human beings, we, like I said, even Adam alayhi salam in Jannah would not be Jannah, right, if he was just alone. Even Jannah is not Jannah, right? So we, as humans, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to, we have that emotional need, that we constantly need, that reassurance, the companionship of other human beings. Whether it's just a spouse or it's the whole family, it's a very important subject. I do wanted to emphasize the one point here very much, which is married people are happier and healthier in general. Research shows that. So people who are married, again, like I said, I just want a disclaimer, if anything is triggering to anyone, I totally respect the choices. People can be single by choice, but I'm just or some people, that's they're struggling to get married. So may Allah make it easy on us all, for those who are married and who are trying to get married, or who would like to be single by choice. That's very much a respectful decision. But I will be like going over some of the research in here as well. So I will concentrate on the Islamic perspective, psychological perspective, which will include some research. So the research does show that people who are married are happier in general and healthier. They're also better off financially, and they live longer as well. I think I had a graph for the living longer as well. Let me see if I did not delete it. So there was the study that some of my slides, the information will be over, is like over a study which had 70 happily married couples who were married at least for 10 years. And this is an in-depth qualitative interviews were done with them to find some of these answers. And also, there was an investigation of happily and unhappily married couples. So they're both included, and I will go through some of those points, what made some of them to be unhappy and what made them to be happier. And then we'll take those points to, inshallah, apply to our lives. Yeah, anyways. So it's based on the research of these couples and the clinical experiences. I'll have literature reviews, like some of the literature on the marriage and the research and Islamic tradition as well. Am I going too fast? No, I am just slow. Yeah, it's probably my own anxieties. I'm just quickly. Oops. Where was I? Okay. Okay. So basically, this is one of the graphs that is based on that research. Again, we will have more of this. Oh, right here. This is what I was trying to look for. So one of the study they did is they kind of threatened these people who are married, and to see how they react. So they were subject to a threat of electric shock. People who were happily married were far more relaxed while holding their hands. So they felt, even in the time of difficulty, their response was more less anxious. They were more relaxed. They were able to tolerate that better compared to. This is, by the way, the wives graph here that shows. So no holding hand. If you see the how their reaction was the first. I don't have a pointer. Oh yeah, I have it here, right here. And then the spouse that were holding hand and were stronger. So like, if you can see here, how much the molecules and stuff, that the way their brain was responding. Okay, and then in here, this is a very interesting one. Happily married people and couple, they live longer, actually. Can anybody say why that might be?
Is the opposite true?
Huh?
Is the opposite true?
No, this is based on research. No.
I think your answer could be why happy marriage, they have longer lifestyle. I think they're less, at a low risk for strokes and all heart diseases and all these high blood pressure and all this stuff.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Because our body is very much connected physiologically and psychologically, right? When one is not working, the other falls apart. We are human. right? We're not machines. So we have to work with our mind and our body all have to be at the same level. Especially men, actually, they struggle much more when they are not married, physiologically. They can very much fall apart compared to women. I think we all know that, don't we? Right? I mean, I felt like that was a universal understanding because I was.
A lot of women are able to continue on their life single.
Yeah.
They're stronger.
Yes.
Right?
And actually, why that is though? That's another question.
We don't absorb everything and keep it inside.
Exactly.
Men also release more cortisol and adrenaline, which affects your body negatively.
Yeah. Well, we are good at finding resources. Sorry? Yeah. Well, the thing is, women are really good at finding resources and substitutes. Okay. So, how many women in here go to their husbands when they are actually, I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but not trying to be funny here, but do they actually go to their husband and cry on their shoulder? They do? Okay, mashallah, alhamdulillah. That's great. But how often do you go to your husband and how often do you go to another female?
Depends on the quality of the marriage, too, in my own experience.
Uh-huh.
My marriage deteriorated more.
Uh-huh.
I relied on my friends more than I relied on my
Right, the quality of marriage, yeah,
I
exactly.
can say that my husband never reciprocated that.
Right.
Never in all the years that we were married did he ever share problems with me or stressors with me,
Right.
which I tried to tell him as a human services, like student causes a breakdown in the marriage. It makes issues in general in the body.
Right.
And it breaks down the communication as a couple if you don't communicate when you have stressors in your life going on with each other.
Right. So now I would like to ask the men here, how often do you go and tell your friends things that are bothering you? Not work related, just general life related. Do you talk to your friends about it? I'm being sarcastic. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay. Those of you who do, raise your hand. I know you do. Who else does? Okay. Like you share your problems with somebody other than your wife. Like, I mean, your mother and wife. I mean, it's like strangers, right? Mother would be another possibility. So yeah, so one reason the woman is able to survive alone, and when their husband, for example, passes, they still continue to have a good health compared to men, is because they find substitutes. They find their sister, their neighbors, their friends, whoever they are. Yeah, they use all kinds of emotional, social support to help themselves. Unfortunately, men are not good at that. They think that's what life is, and they just bottle up and they shut down. So, but overall, alhamdulillah, this is a good news for both of them. Like I said, this research shows that happily married couples actually live longer. They have better health quality as well. Yeah, so let's see who's on top of the list here.
I was expecting that one brother will give their answer, but it's a joke that women live longer and healthier because they give all their stress to the men. It's stress-free.
Oh, maybe the brothers agree. I don't know. Yeah.
So I think that rarely you find very rare. Somebody finds really somebody who counsel that is really blessed.
Yes.
If they have really somebody who can share,
Yeah.
the person can actually give them some good advice.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's very rare. What happened is practically two wives, they start to, maybe their genuine reason.
Yeah.
Same thing with their husband. If they want to share something, very quickly goes back to complaining about their wives. And same thing, two wives, they're complaining about
Their husbands,
so
right?
very quickly.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying intention, but that.
Yeah.
It just goes down.
It's cool. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's who we live with the most, or that's the person we're going to complain with the most, right? If you talk to students who what's their complaints are going to be, they're teachers. They're the one who's making their life, bad for them. So, Yeah, so being in this country, we kind of need to be a little bit more careful because things are not going in the favor in here for married couples. Um, there is a good news, however, for Muslims. We're not at 50%, but we are not doing that great because American Muslim divorce rate is 32%. Not 50%, but 32 is not a low statistics either. Um, 1 to 3 marriages will end in divorce based on the one of the studies, and then 68% has actually very significant negative interactions. 56% have at least one moderate to major issue in their marriages. Oops. Our very common issues in our Muslim communities are I'm not saying they're our issues, but the issues we fight about is one of it is the in-laws, um, family, friends, of course, anything like our social life interaction that does bring stress to the couples. Finance is I think finance should be one on very top, especially in our days and time. Uh, Interest, and then I would say one thing I really need to add is the way our life has changed drastically, how we have turned to media so much. It's no longer about who has time and who has money. um, it's like there's barely any focus, barely any quality time left for the family. So I understand back in the home when we were young, the number one stress was money, right? People didn't have enough money, so husband was always busy doing difficult labor job, and that's no longer that much of especially Muslim community. Mashallah, they're doing very well financially in the United States, but we have our issues. Mm. Um, so, as for the unhappy marriages, what are some of the things that they're suffering with? There's a higher suicide rate for those who are unhappily married. Their immune system is suppressed, and physical disease are likely to occur. Again, heart disease, cancer, all of that, sugar. Depression and anxiety can be very much frequent in those individuals who are not so happily married. Higher risk for addiction, and addiction goes in very different spectrum. It used to be mostly alcohol, but addiction now is to um, our phones has become number one. I won't say alcohol is number one. I think that's last in the list now. It's mostly our phones. Unfortunately, we have kids here. Okay. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of another issue we have is pornography addiction that is causing a lot of issues in marriage couples. So, and feeling of loneliness, insecurity, not having that level of satisfaction and trust returned to each other. Financial status can affect, but it varies again. Like I said, being more financially status does not guarantee a happy marriage. And of course, the whole family and the children are impacted mentally and physically with the stress of the marriage. But there's hope. I'm sorry to make you depressed if I did. That's why we're here. Um, there's a lot of hope, actually. While I was preparing for this presentation, I just felt hope for my own self and my own husband. I was like, wow, I think we have problem there. So inshallah, you guys will learn some things too in here with me. Alhamdulillah, there's a lot of access to resources. It's just a matter of seeking it. So There's a lot of marriage strengthening programs like this one, um, couple therapy, other self-guided things. And I will give some of the things that this at the end if people are interested. Um, some of the things that if you guys were interested, like I said at the end, I would remind me if I forget, on what to do when you go out on a date with each other, or how to start a communication and conversation, since it's like, oh, you've been with each other for several years, what are you going to talk about now and whatnot. So yeah, so there's ways to come around it. So number one quality to have work towards a better marriage is having a positive outlook. I will give you an example. So I have a client, for example, who came to me very scared. She would not even do the session at home on Zoom. She wanted to see me in person, and I was very afraid what happened. It turned out that she wanted to tell me something which she thought the husband would totally disapprove of, and it was pregnancy. She was pregnant, and she thought the husband is going to tell her to go do abortion. And I was really shocked that she had that reaction. So when I tried to explore this with her, what makes you think that way? And we spoke about different issues. In reality, when she actually went and spoke to her husband, his reaction was very different. He was very supportive. He was very positive. And this was something we discussed. I discussed, why would your husband want to get rid of his own child? Like, what makes you think that way? It was what? She had a negative perception of her husband. So even if it was a child, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran that men love children, right? They love money and they love children. Those are the two things they really like. So why would he get rid of a child? It's the woman normally who says, oh, it's very difficult, I don't want to have children and whatnot. But it's an outlook on the marriage. If you do have a negative mindset, even things that are not there will filter in a negative loop. So that is number one. Number two quality would be accepting and tolerating the differences. And we're going to explore more about the differences a little more later on. Not engaging in destructive fights. So arguments happen, but how destructive they are. Again, we'll dissect each one of them as we go. Quick reconciliation, safeguarding intimacy, managing the qualities of shared life, developing love and compassion. So number one, having a positive outlook towards marriage. The Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, if anything afflicts you, do not say, if I had done such and such things, and such things would have happened. But say, Allah decreed what He wills. He does, for indeed, the utterness, if I had only done such and such, provides an opening for the intervention of the shaitan. So oftentimes this happens with us also, is like, again, like this, having this negative concept, negative mindset, is like, oh, if I had done more research, if I didn't got married when I was younger, things would have been different. So what are you doing? You're providing a lot of possibilities that whatever you have now is not good enough for you. And things should have been different. And because you see somebody else who you think might be happier than you, you believe they're more successful in their marriage life or family life or overall life, then you think that, oh, there are things that are missing in my life. And then you start creating a lot of doubts. And doubts come from shaitan. So that is, again, a negative filter to keep doing a lot of doubts and ifs in your life, instead of accepting and seeing what can you fix there. How can you make it better? So self-report. So we're just going to be, I'll try not to read a lot of these, not to exhaust you. But I will read a few of these sentences. For example, how does a Happy mindset married couple will describe their conflicts and their situation, and unhappy. Let's see. A married man for 16 years expresses his views on marriage. Our marriage continues to become more stable over time. Whereas an unhappy would say, unhappy couple or person would say, my spouse doesn't care about me. He constantly corrects me and always trying to change me. So the problem are they both have conflicts, but the way one is filtering their life problems is very different than the other one. I will go and give another example. A married woman for 19 years, who was married for 19 years, we are a good match, and I feel peaceful with my husband around me. He values me and expresses his love often. An unhealthy marriage mindset will be, I keep finding myself wondering what it would have been like if I had married someone else. Again, that if is coming, and then that's opening door for many other things. Especially after we fight, these questions eat away at me.
Is this true for both genders?
Yeah, so I have examples of men and women both. So it's like both of them. If there's a negative mindset, right, how they see their conflicts in their marriage and compared to a happy one. Happy one will say, okay, yeah, we have problems, but we're working towards it. We're going, it's fine. They don't make that's their highlight of their life. All right, exercise number 1. Ready? I don't know if you guys need a pen and paper for this, but from this list, choose 3 to 5 of your spouse's positive personality traits if you're married. Then choose specific time with your spouse to exhibit these traits and why you appreciate it. Those who are not married, or would you can pick the traits that you would like to have in your spouse, your future spouse. So I will give you, maybe I'll just put a timer. 1 minute, 2 minutes, how long?
Do you want to discuss it?
2 minutes. Up to him, whatever they want. Sure.
Can you mind explaining one more time for the people online?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I just put the screen on there.
Sure. So from this list, the list that's here, so you choose 3 to 5 of your spouse positive personality traits. Then you will choose a specific time when your spouse exhibits these traits and why you appreciate it. So you can recall it. I'll keep the screen a little bit, and then I'll go to the next slide. I will explain it to you better. You try to recall it, those traits that your husband or wife had actually showed. For example, I don't know, being respectful. If you can recall a time where your husband and wife showed that respect to you, and you can justify that. Again, having a very positive mindset. You want to say, well, I never get any respect. I can't do that. So find few qualities in here. And you're going to explore, why did you appreciate this? Why do you appreciate these traits? Why is that important to you? I'll give you guys 1 more minute. All right. So, why is this exercise important? Number one, it's important to verbalize the positive characteristics and being very specific about it. And I'm guilty of it myself. You can ask me. We really need to work on verbalizing the good things that our spouse does that for us, right? When they do actually put an effort and do something that we appreciate, we do need to highlight that and actually verbalize it. I really appreciate you actually sitting and talking to me today about this, or I appreciate you taking some time for me. Because when we don't say anything and we just get happy in our heart and mind, like, oh wow, this was good, but we never let the other person know, it almost is as if it feels like, okay, it wasn't even noticed, my effort was not even noticed. So it's really important to highlight. It encourages that person to continue doing that more. And saying it like I said, making it like out loud, allowing the other person know that you actually appreciated this, that this is important to you. It's important for you not to get in an argument outside where you felt like you were getting it loud and you just try to step back. I appreciated you not doing this with me in public. It can be about anything, really. So saying that out loud is really important. So again, the Prophet ﷺ has said, whoever is not grateful to the people is not grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How are we not grateful? By not noticing, by not verbalizing, by not giving any recognition to the effort that was done, or the something that we probably are taking it for granted. It's probably always part of the characteristic of our spouse, but we just take it like, okay, that's how he is, or that's how she is. We don't really actually take a time to say, you know what, you're a really good cook. I appreciate your food so much better than a restaurant. Like, you know what I mean? Like saying it out loud, highlighting it, and showing that gratitude, that you are actually grateful for each other, the things that you do for each other. So verbalization is really important. Let's spend some time, yes, with our 5 languages of love. Number 1, words of affirmation. We just said about, verbalizing things and showing gratitude. When you verbalize things, it's like our gratitude comes on the surface level. Earlier in my introduction, somebody said I speak 4 languages, right? A lot of them I feel like they're similar to one another. Alhamdulillah, I was lucky. But what happens when somebody who speaks Arabic starts telling me, praises me, a bunch of things in Arabic, and I have no idea what they said? Because I don't speak Arabic. I try, but I don't know much. I mean, maybe their facial expression will tell me something, but other than that, I don't know what they said to me. Now, what happens when you are showing this love to someone in a similar way, in a language that they don't see that to be a language of love at all, right? Would you even feel love or appreciated? Because that's not what you wanted, right? I mean, maybe love, let's say love to our mother is to feed us a lot, right? And then now let's see that the daughter is trying to diet and the mother is feeding her a lot. What happens there? Is that going to be like is she going to see that as a love, or is she like, Mom, you're putting me in trouble? Like, what are you doing? You're really making me struggle with this diet. So it's important to know what our love languages are. It's important to know how our children get happy. It's not just for a spouse. Does your son or daughter, do they appreciate it when you actually engage with them and play them a specific game that they like? And how does your wife get happy? What words of affirmation? What do you need to do for her or for him to make them feel like you actually, love them? You need to figure that out. That's important. So that is the word of affirmation is number one. Yes.
My daughter would never say to me, "Oh, I like that you did this or you did that, or I enjoyed doing this thing with you."
Uh-huh.
The only way I would know is if she says to me the next day, "Can we do that again?"
Right, exactly. Yeah, people are very, especially like younger generation, they're very indirect, very much. Yeah, so you have to look for clues, right? How does that happen? My son, for example, he loves to talk. So when I keep hearing mommy, 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 and I'm like, oh my God, he just wants my attention, right? So I'm like, yes, I drop everything. Like, let me just give him some attention so that way he calms down, that I actually notice him. Or my daughter is really young. She's only 6 years old. I'm very proud of her. The other day, she had a presentation and she was done. She realized she was done with that class. And so she was just really whining around me, and I was working and I was trying to get my stuff done. And finally, what I wanted to go to work just to print some stuff. I worked from home that day, and then she was like, "You can't leave." She jumped in the car. I'm like, "I'm going to work. What are you doing?" She's like, "You cannot leave me." And I was like, "What?" She never does that, right? She doesn't just come forcefully jump in the car knowing I'm going to work. It's like, first my friends left me, now you're leaving? Where are you going? So it's like she just wanted me to be there. She just wants me to be sitting next to her, even if I'm not doing my office work, right? So everyone has a different need. Some people, you just need to be around them. Other people, you need to listen to them. Other people want a good food. If you give them some good food, they think they love you, right? But I would have to highlight one thing before I move away from this slide. Words of affirmation is really, really important for a woman. It's important for both. But how many of you recall I hope I'm not quoting this wrong, Aisha radiallahu anhu asking the Prophet sallallahu about his love, right? And finally, the Prophet sallallahu says, "My love is like the knot." Correct me if I say the knot that a tight knot, right? And although he explained that to her, it's like a knot, like knot's very tight, and she would keep coming back and checking, how's the knot? Is it still tight, right? So why? Because a woman needs to have this affirmation over and over and over. It's not enough for her if you go in your wedding anniversary and say, "I love you, here's flowers, and let's go for a dinner," or anything, right? You need to do that like maybe at least once a day. Sometimes maybe more than once a day, right? For men, it's not that big of a deal, but it's still important to do mention and say, I appreciate your work around the house. Like at least once in a while, you should mention that. Don't ignore it. Again, gifts. Who likes it more? But there is the good news. Okay. Women doesn't, I'm not trying to undervalue your wife's, woman doesn't necessarily look for an expensive gift. They just want to be um, affirmed that you got them a gift because you remembered them and you thought of them. So it can be something really small, like um,
Chocolate bar.
chocolate bars, exactly. Um, I think my husband brought something from work the other day which I liked, and I knew he knows that I like. I was really happy, and it was some like a candy or something. I didn't tell him that at that time, but I laughed in my to myself. I'm like, oh, he normally brings snacks for kids, but today he thought of me too. That's nice. So a woman does not necessarily need like a huge diamond ring, right? Um, some women probably want that. I'm not saying they don't want that. They do. I'm like, again, I'm trying to be careful here, but on a general base, like on a daily base, they don't expect you to be bringing her gold every day and once a year. You know what I mean? That's not practical right here. But if you do small things to remind her that here's a gift for you, that they appreciate it more. Men, on the other hand, they would like to have one gift, but a good gift, like an expensive gift. To them, it matters. Like a perfume should be really good. You know, I don't know. Depends who likes what, but I'm just saying. Again, I'm not saying you should undervalue a woman how you gift her, but just remember to gift her more frequently. It doesn't have to be expensive. Acts of service. Um, acts of service could be different things, right? So if your wife is really good at cooking, but she hates cleaning, that's still an act of service that she does. That she's showing you her love, right? She's cooking your favorite food because that's what she thinks she can show her love with. Like that's her act of service. And what's the act of service of a man, generally speaking?
I think
What would be the act of service of a man?
army.
Sorry, earning. Yes, I thought you said pardon me. Yes. So he's gone most of the day, and we're upset why they're gone, but that's their act of service. That they think they're showing you their love by working, by keeping a job. You know. Um, Aisha radiallahu anhu asked, "What did the Prophet ﷺ used to do in his house?" She replied, "He used to keep himself busy with serving his family, and when it was time for prayer, he would go." So, the most busiest person on planet, the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did he used to do? He used to serve his family. Around the house, he would do act of service, and of course, he was really busy outside the house too. So act of service is really important. That's another language of love, that you express your love to the other person. Again, this doesn't just apply to the husband and wife. It can be for your children, children to parents, parents to children. It goes all the way to everyone, even to your friends, actually. Quality time. This is a very big one and very problematic one, right? Is it? Okay. I thought I'm the only one struggling on that. So the Prophet ﷺ used to receive people warmly, welcome them, and let them be comfortably seated. When shaking someone's hand, the Prophet ﷺ would never draw his hand away first, but would hold on until the other person let go. Most of the time, the Prophet ﷺ used to face the direction of the person whom he was speaking to. What do we look at most of the time nowadays? If we talk to each other, even on dates, what do we look at? Phones, yeah. Our phones get a lot of our attention. They have more attention than our children, than our wives, and their husbands. like I said, this is another addiction that should be on top of it. It really is on top of the list. It's really, really heartbreaking. You will not believe how many kids do I speak with in therapy who come frustrated and they say, my mom is always on the phone. She's not even talking to me. One girl was brought to me because she made suicidal threats that she wanted to die. And when we explored more what was going on, this is a non-Muslim child I'm talking about. She said, well, what's the point of living anyways? My mom is always busy on the phone with her boyfriend. So she would be gone working, single mother. And when she comes home, she's trying to take care of herself, de-stress, talking to somebody, getting their attention. Children are invisible. Nowadays, that's the number one problem with children. They feel invisible by their parents because the parents are first busy, and when they're home, they're in their phones.
Maybe that's the answer to the question.
Yeah.
What's the number one emotion for suicidal children, or even suicidal people? What's like, what is that level they reach to emotion?
Yeah.
The number one emotion.
Yeah, because they feel they don't matter anymore. Well, and that's one way they get attention, actually. Sometime, who was this I was talking to? I'm trying to remember in my mind. The children who will make threats that they want to, or they will even actually do the harm to their body, crying for help. They're not trying to end their life. They're crying for help. They want to go to an extent to really grasp your attention and say, look, I'm here and I'm not seen. That's what they really want. Why would a child want to end their life? They're tired. They're tired.
They feel inferior because of social media. They can't keep up with their friends.
They can't. Well, I mean, there's many aspects of their depression, yeah. But when it comes to trying to get the attention of their parents, they do verbalize. Like I said, my daughter, a 6-year-old, can say that. My friends are gone. Now you're leaving too. Like, they use their language. It's not like they don't have a language. They do have language. But their language is not being valued, and over and over they would be like, oh, can we do something? One of my other young teenager, the number one thing she complained about over and over and over is, I just want us to have family time. That was her number one complaint. A very stable family, very financially successful, stable family. But yeah, people don't have time for each other. And if they are home, they are not with each other. They're either with TV or with their phone or with their computer. And me and my husband are not less guilty of that either. We're all in this. So yeah, another language of love is quality time. You don't have to spend an entire hour talking to someone, but at least give that 5 minutes of undivided attention. Check in. Yeah.
Yeah, we can have the other way around, that the parents wants to talk to their teenagers.
Yes, yes.
They're
Yes.
so busy with her game.
Yes.
I think the one quick tip is for everyone. Like these days we have like tons and tons of family pictures.
Yes.
But they're just sitting there on the phone with the computer somewhere in the cloud. We don't keep on taking pictures whenever have time. I think my suggestion is, like, as a family, you are still watching this screen, you are still on electronic, but like have everybody sit together and just
Yeah.
select one file. Oh, we went to this trip, or we
Mhm.
did this hike, or whatever. Just spend 10, 15, 20 minutes together. We did this on the beach there.
Right.
We were done. Now what?
Yeah.
Hey guys, let's watch some pictures.
Yeah, some good things that we did together, right? Reflect on it. Remind yourself. Yeah, that's a very good idea. Yeah. Yeah. Or even talking about, honestly, stories like younger kids or even older kids. I loved listening to the stories of like what my parents did and how did they grow up. Just talking about those things. They love it. My husband knows this. My kids will come and beg us, can you tell us your childhood stories? And I don't have many childhood stories. I'm sorry. I saw war. What do you want me to tell you? I was scared at home. Like, I don't want to say those things to them. And sometimes I do get frustrated. I'm like, my childhood stories are done. I said everything to you. Or sometimes I just make them things up. It's very silly. I just make things up. That's what they want. That's what quality time means to them, right? Just telling them stories. Um, but yeah, I mean, teenagers is another whole topic. I don't want to open the lid. It's like we're running late. By the way, at what point would you guys want me to stop for Q&A? I mean, I have a lot more to cover. I'm only at slide 25.
I have 45 more minutes, so
Okay.
it's up to you. I would like that. Maybe we like half an hour QA.
Okay.
We can go for a little while.
I will go at least 10 more minutes. Okay.
What was the question of you?
Yeah, I don't want to stop you in your presentation.
You want to, keep it at the end.
Just a quick, I just read yesterday the article of CNN that the number one reason for the blood pressure nowadays is the use of cell phone.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I never thought of that way.
Mm-hmm.
Half an hour of cell phone use per day can cause you blood pressure
Yes.
increase.
Also, there's a research study if people who go to like for example, to the mall at the time this was a mall thing, who if they spend 30 minutes or 1 hour at the mall, their blood pressure and their mood, everything really goes bad compared to if they go like in a park or just be somewhere outside in the nature. It actually regulates things for them compared to being in a mall looking at things that even though you like those things. But it's really like does the opposite effect. It does not really de-stress you, it stresses you more, going to malls and stuff like that. All right, language, number 5 in the 5 language of love is physical touch. Aisha radiallahu anha narrated the Prophet said, the Prophet used to bend his head out for me while he was in itikaf in the masjid during my monthly period, and I would comb and oil his hair. So even at the state of itikaf, the Prophet would make sure he had some level of connection with his spouse. And again, this is not limited to the husband and wife only, but it goes for your children as well. Giving them a hug, frequently, not once or twice. It needs to be more frequent. Physical touch, goes a long way. I heard this. I forgot the number, but the amount of hug a woman wants a day, I think it's like 7 or something. Like, do we get that once a day? But what they need is like more than 5. Unfortunately, this is another thing I recall as soon as I saw physical touches. The 2 individuals that barely have any physical interaction is who in the family? A son or father. Because male are already struggling with physical touch, and now you put 2 males together, they both go in their corners. And that's really, really important in the relationship for them, actually. The son should not just come to their mother to be comforted, they should also go to their father, especially a male figure. They need to have that. So yeah, that was a research I just recalled a long time ago that I had studied, and I thought was really interesting. I will try to skip through. Okay, I'm only in quality number 2. I had a lot to cover. Okay, accepting and tolerating bridges and differences. So every couple will have problems, okay? Having that, it doesn't matter if this person if I married this or if I married that, that's not going to change that you will not have conflicts, right? So if person A marries person B, there will be a set of problems they will be facing. And then if the person A marries person C, problems will still occur. It will be just a different set of problems. It will be a different kind of problems, right? But the problems will still be there. So that's unavoidable, right? It's not the problems that's really the issue. It's how we take care of them. Do you care to look at this, or shall I move? What do you think? Uh huh. Right.
Old woman and a young bird. Yeah.
A bird. Oh, I didn't even see the bird. Where is he? Uh-huh. Well, I saw a young girl, like this is the eyelash, nose, and face. And I keep staring at it. What else is there? And there's an old lady, yes. There's the eye, the nose, the mouth, and the chin, right? And I think somebody saw a bird. I don't even know where. I can't even find that. So, how our experiences are, what our set is, our experiences, our mood, whatever it is, that's what we see. It influences us. So that's how we have differences, right? The differences come in the beliefs and also temperaments and personalities. So the type of differences we have is either based on our beliefs on how we grew up or what we saw, our experiences were, and also it's based on our personalities. They both can create that difference and conflict, I would say. Each individual arrives at the marital relationship with an internalized psychological prototype of what a relationship should be. We all come with our own sets of baskets, right? This is how it should be. This is how it should look like, and that's called a happy marriage. But that's not always. So, for example, our view of intimacy, our gender role, financial arrangements, child rearing, extended family interaction, and etc. So all of this it's already in our mindset before we even enter in a relationship. It's there. We're just not aware of it. Or we are aware of it. We already know what we want. Some people are aware of it, but every person has it differently. I was talking to the sister earlier about how the less the difference is, the shorter the gap is. So it is okay to prefer marrying somebody who is similar to you, to your culture, to your religion. It's preferred, actually, because the smaller the gap, the lesser the issues. It will not be as much, right? So now you're not talking about so much of difference and gaps that is there already, because that can be problematic. All right. I'm not going to do this. This is kind of a little bit lengthy. Let's move on. I'll come to a different activity soon. Okay. All right. So being different does not mean you cannot work things out, or that's it, that the marriage is falling apart because you're different. Because no matter what you do, you will have a difference, right? You are two different individuals, and there are going to be differences. Some parts of the characters arise out of temperament, and being aware of such traits can allow you to be aware of your partner's style without taking things personally. So if somebody has I don't know, like the example of this washing dishes. So how this wife had issues about dishes in the sink was really funny. How it bothered her so much compared to, like, she would nag on her husband why the dishes are in the sink, it shouldn't be there, was based on her fear of cockroaches, that she grew up in a certain part of the United States. There were so many cockroaches and they would never leave dishes in the sink. And so that was a problem for them, right? So things are not always to take it personally. It's just that they're there, right? That's based on what you are and how your beliefs are and how you grew up. think about how your similarities and differences with your partner influence your relationship and increase your awareness of it, making a conscious attempt to increase fondness and admiration of your spouse. So, like, for example, I come from very different experiences in my life compared to my husband. He had a very stable lifestyle while I was a refugee, jumping from one country to another. And I learned things along the way, but his mindset is really different from mine. For me, I'm like, oh, I should go and explore. I should go to more countries and explore more people. For him, it's like, just let me live my life simply, and that's how life should be. But if you think about it, well, there's adventure, right? If you do go travel, and that's a good thing, it's interesting, it's exciting. So you don't take that difference as saying like, oh God, what am I going to do with this person because they're different than me? Rather admire their experiences. How can this person increase the quality of life in the family because of their experiences? Because they had other experiences, therefore they might have a better understanding of things, right? Or be more resilient even, right? um, let's see. I don't know if I should do it. Okay. Choose one trait in which you and your partner are very different and create a written plan on how to handle the differences. This is a little homework you can do. I won't necessarily make you do it here. So the last bullet in there, choose one trait in which you and your partner are very different. Create a written plan on how to handle this difference. You can make a note of that and then work on this later, inshallah. Okay. Double standards are okay. The need of each spouse is different, or so it's okay to meet that difference. um, I hope I didn't misinterpret that for anyone, but again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. What I mean by double standards is like, let's say my daughters eat very less and my son likes to eat a lot. So according to her need, I gave her food, and according to his need, I gave him food. That doesn't mean that I value one less. Yeah, if she's hungry and I'm feeding my son in front of then I'm in trouble, right? So some people, they need certain things more than the others. So that in that case, it's okay. It's okay to meet that person's need and let go to keep that peace and happiness. Gender differences in temperament. You can see the graph more better. It's bigger there, I guess. So for a woman, the way the stress affects them, their mood, their energy, their intellect, even their sexual drive, is all over the place. That's like the first one is for the woman. And this one is for the men. That's why it's okay is some of the difference, because that's how we are, right? We men and women are different. We are equal, but we are different. Another problem, men do not see details, but they just see a whole picture of things. Women are highly, pay attention to the details. And because men cannot see the details, they are often interpreted as they lack, they don't care. You don't care, you don't pay attention, but that's their personality, that's their difference. Issues of power. Men tend to have an issue with power. Women accept influence naturally. Research shows women consider others before themselves more often than the men do. Men who do not accept influence tend to have poorer relationships generally. So therefore, men are required to intentionally, right, take part and consider his wife's opinion for their input. So they need to make an actual effort into that. because a woman often does that regardless, but the men would tend to kind of exclude often. All right. Should I stop? Sure, I can stop. It's fine. But there's there's one thing I do want to go over. This was a good exercise, though. That's fine. I would go over, okay, this one right here. The reason I'm going to focus on this, it says how to argue. Okay. There's, how many of you are familiar with Gottman? This field of psychology, Gottman. No? Okay. You can look up the Gottman Institute on the website. They have some, remember when I said for dating, like going out for dates, they actually have nice flashcards. The husband and wife, they can ask each other questions, for example, things that you don't normally talk about. So one of their really high focus, the Gottman, this person who has done a study on this, they basically predict a successful marriage 85 to 90% of the time by just observing how the husband and wife communicate with each other. And there's 4 things that's essential in that. One is humiliating criticism. So when you are, like, for example, communicating with each other, you get into an argument or whatever, you're not happy, you criticize. So they criticize each other, they put each other down, belittle. That's one characteristic. The other one is character assassination. You never do this. This is how you are. You're just a loser, whatever. Again, it goes back to that. Defensiveness. So when you are bringing up an issue to them, instead of them listening to you, you just go in defensive mode and just defense, and you're literally not listening at all. The other one is stonewalling or shutting down. What are you doing? Like, okay, well, this is how my wife always does this. She just comes and complains to me, why don't you talk to me more, or why aren't you spending time with kids and stuff like that. So what do? They actually just become blank. Men do this oftentimes, actually. They just become, they shut down instead of actually learning how to approach the problem. They just don't respond at all. So these are the very problematic behavior that happens in marriages. So instead of doing that, and now we have the correct form of doing this, and then I will stop right there. As develop strategies to prevent escalation, first of all. And please take a note of this. So when you are, again, the Gottman study, what they did was he stopped couple when they were in an argument for like 10 minutes and said to them, you need to stop, take a break. So when you are in an argument with each other and you realize things are escalating, it's just getting into an argument, you need to stop and basically go self-soothe. Self-soothe, what he did was he gave them a magazine and said, go read this instead. Totally do something different. You can do that by listening to something you like. I don't know, drinking a cup of tea, whatever it is to self-soothe. You take a little break for 20 minutes at least, and then come back. Then at that point, you're no longer really like humiliating, personalizing, defending, or shutting down. You actually are able to cognitively to process everything and calm down to take care of the situation. When, of course, instead of character assassinating, you need to maintain an overall positive view of your spouse. So you are aware of, okay, this is XYZ as part of this person's personality, but what is this individual overall? What are they? What do they contribute? Are they just like an evil person in this family, or are there a lot of things that they do that are good? So having that, again, that positive filter. And reconciliation. Reconciliation, it should not last even in our sunnah, right? You cannot stop talking to each other for more than 3 days. about 2 to 3 hours after that, you need to be able to come back and talk. There are couples who will extend things for months. Let's see. And of course, always when you are trying to explain, just using the I statement instead of the defensiveness. You are always this. This is what you do all the time. As soon as I come home, you start nagging. Instead saying, you know what, I am very tired. I need some time to myself. So using I statement instead of blaming the other person does magic. So remember, taking break, using the I statement, and having a positive view of the other person, inshallah, will do magic. And I'll stop right there. I went like only half of what I was planning to cover. Alhamdulillah.
Sorry, for any questions, someone's asking if they can consult with you privately. Do you have a number that you can share?
Yeah, I could. At the end, I could take some time to just individual talk, if depending on what I can direct them to what.
Online, so if there's a number we can share, or you can share something.
Yeah, I could give my number, but sure, you can give them my email address. How about I give my Khalil Center email address? Should I? I'll just text that to you, or shall I put it here? Okay. Okay, I'll just text it to you. Inshallah.
I have a question. The research study he's referring to, how do you spell that? Is it Gottman?
The Gottman?
Yeah.
Gottman, yes. Gottmna, I think. Gottman Institute. Yeah. You can YouTube some videos, like these points that I explained, are really nicely explained and said what is the downfall in these couples' marriages and how to prevent it. So they have nice videos as well on the YouTube.
I have a comment about de-escalation.
Mhm.
Sometimes when my wife and I are having an argument, which a lot of the time is my fault because I overreact to things, she'll make a joke in the middle. And
Yes.
with me, it works. It completely disarms me, and then I'm not mad anymore, and it's all over.
Yes.
That's it.
I had a slice about humor too, by the way, that I couldn't cover. Like having humor is always like, even when the person is angry, you just throw a humor. Like my neighbor once, she said, when my husband is around, I tell him, she said it in Hindi in a very funny way. She said, I tell him, it's your house, your children. So what if you work? It's all yours anyways. So what if you're helping around and cleaning and cooking or anything? It's all yours. So she's really funny, mashallah. And that works, right? You have that attitude. It's really it brings light into the family, even when there's an argument. Yeah.
I was just a common question, actually, and it is something that's happening a lot. Separation. What's your opinion on marriage? No, not divorce. They say, okay, we've been having too much of each other. Let's separate. What's your take on this?
Separate meaning taking a break?
Taking a break for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very healthy thing to do. If people can afford it and they can do it, I think it's amazing because once the other person is gone, first of all, they get some break from each other or whatever is exhausting them. Even like I said in the argument, you just need to take a break from each other if you're constantly on each other's face. But also, when you are actually away, the other person will really recognize all the contributions you did, and they'll start really appreciating you. Not just the person who stays in the house, but also when you're gone, right? Because let's say the wife is gone, and then the husband realizes, oh my gosh, she did so much that I didn't recognize. Now I have to take care of it, right? Or when the husband is gone, like my husband was gone last year just for 1 week, and I just like had this level of anxiety. I would close all the doors at night, and I've told my kids to myself, like, there's a level of fear, like my husband is gone. What am I gonna do? So I literally I actually broke down into tears. I said, my husband is really important. I complain about him, but he's so important. Like he's gone. I'm so scared now. So I didn't say that to him. Like, see, that saying things out loud is really important, right? So yeah, I think separation and taking a break from each other is really healthy.
Is there a time period that you recommend, or
No, I guess it depends on what is doable. Like if you're separate, if your separation is bringing a lot of harm in other ways, maybe then it's not a good idea to separate for so long. But at least like a 3 day will be really good idea. 3 days to 2 weeks depends like what they can afford to be away from each other.
It's not exactly opposite to what you just said 10 minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
That reported the hadith that Muslims should not be angry with each other more than 3 days.
No, I'm not saying they should be angry. I'm saying they should take a break and be
I know
separated.
it's a part of the solution, but it's
Yeah.
still exactly opposite to the hadith.
No, I'm not saying they should be angry and separated.
Well,
I'm saying they should take a
because they were angry.
No, taking a break. Like I said, my husband was gone and then I realized his appreciation, right? Sometimes you're just so much, the tension is just constantly there. You just need to take a break. So being angry is different than taking a break. Like taking a break with each other's consent is different than just grabbing your bag and walking away and not talking to each other. That's a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with COVID, everyone was forced to work in the same place, live in the same place, eat in the same place, sleep in the same place, and everyone saw each other for every little activity. So I feel like that added more pressure.
Yeah, a lot of couples actually split.
That's why divorce
Yeah.
rates
The divorce rate went high, depression for kids and all that stuff. It was really bad. For some families it worked, but a lot of families actually suffered. Yeah.
it's better to go through that than divorce? I mean, people maybe couples
Yeah.
should try to kind of give each other a break
Yeah.
before state of divorce.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, sometime honestly, a client shared with me how she had to just step away from her husband, take a break, because nothing was working. And when she did that, things changed. For the first time, the husband said, "I'm sorry." For the first time, he said, "Oh yeah, now I see what you're talking about." And this client is married to her husband for 20 plus years, right? So sometimes those breaks are really, really healthy. For the first time, she actually felt like the husband cared to talk about the issues that she wants to talk about. It happened when she just decided, you know what, I just need a break. I just have to go. Actually, when we are always around each other, and you start taking each other for granted. That no matter what I do, this person will be around me, and I can just do whatever I want. Again, I'm not talking about divorce, but trying different things to help you to take the other person's attention and say, you know what, I really need this. This is a mana of the Khalid Center. So, no, I would say. Unless if there are some specific things that you want, then I can send you those information, but not the whole PowerPoint. I cannot. Oh, Khalid Center.
Are there any more information, like any books, videos, or anything?
Yeah, so Khalid Center is a Muslim counseling center. We have branches in different states and cities. We have a small branch here in Bay Area. So that's, I work for them, and that's how we come here as representing them. We are providing Muslim counseling to Muslims, so that way, Muslims feel safe to go somewhere where the counselor is a Muslim and a practicing Muslim, so they understand their values and their what they want. And also we have actually religious consultations. So if there's something comes like fiqh, right, there's a problem that comes, and we can consult not me, but the client can consult even the religious consultation in a very safe, private place to solve issues. Yeah.
Is there any recommended books or anything, or like videos or anything,
For the Khalid Center itself?
or you recommend?
Yes, on our website. I mean, if you're looking for Muslim psychology related books, yeah. So I don't know the top of my. I have some at home, but the one I bought, what was it called?
Well, but sister, you have some videos on YouTube too that are really helpful, because I looked at them. You have videos that are used that are associated with the Juna and the Khalid Institute.
Oh, that's not me, sorry. Sister Hibba, she did not come.
Okay,
So I,
that sister, I should say, she has videos online.
yeah, she probably has
I watched
it.
several of them today, and they're really.
She probably has them. Yeah, I don't
She has
have them.
quite-
Yeah.
she has
Yeah.
quite a few
I don't do a lot of public
that deal with this
work.
and other things.
Yeah.
I missed the introduction, so you are not Sister Hiba.
No,
Okay.
my name is Nadia. Yeah. She couldn't come for some family reasons, so
Oh,
I tried to cover. Last minute notice. Yes.
So these centers, they charge for, I'm sure do not cover the.
No, they do cover insurance, depending on which ones, because every insurance is not. There we have out of pocket options. They also, I believe, have sliding scales, and then also insurance. I don't know a lot about that. You just need to contact the admin, and they can explain to you more better. And then brother Yet over there.
You mentioned that your children sometimes ask for stories from your childhood,
Mhm.
but you don't have anything to tell them because your childhood was all war and being a refugee.
Mhm.
So my question is, why not just share that with them? Because I also have some issues in my past that I wrestle with
Mm.
the question of sharing that with my daughter, but can't we just be honest with them and tell
Yeah.
them all that-
Depending on the age, I would say, and your child's emotional level. So, for example, my daughter or my son, both of them, they fear death a lot. In a sense, like when they saw some deaths happen, and my daughter always wonders that maybe I will die because my mom died. So I try not to tell her things that will scare her because she's really young. So when they are developmentally ready to hear those things, then of course, and that's what I was talking about. Like our different experiences will bring, you know, some very beneficial things to the family. Like my immigration experience, I can't wait to tell my kids the real story when they're ready. Because they need to know life is not like, you're just born in the same house and you raised in the same house and you stay in the same area. That's not how life is. Yes, life is very unexpected. On the sister side, I don't see many questions. Just funny. I had many exercises that I was hoping you guys can work on and reflect that.
another question.
Mhm.
You mentioned about the marriages between the people who are different cultures.
Mhm.
So, is there been any study done that the culture is different? Then, what is the success rate then compared to the similar culture?
Mm. I'm sure they are. There are. I mean, there's people are looking for research topics all the time. Um, I had done a paper in a similar topic, but I cannot recall the
Because
details.
personally, I also believe that similar culture
Yeah.
marriage will success more. But I have a friend, my class fellow, he has
Yeah.
3 daughters. They are married to different cultures.
Yes,
Extremely, I mean,
opposite.
different, opposite, yeah. And he has a different opinion
Yeah.
than I have.
So again, and he's not wrong either. Again, that differences can bring more excitement also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
And it brings better experience too. So me and my husband are also from 2 different countries. So we do share our conflicts of the differences, but then we also enjoy the similarities. So the benefits of it too. Yeah, we have the benefits of it and the challenges. It goes both ways. I wouldn't say the reason I said that the lesser the gap, the more, the better, because then when there's such a huge gap, especially like for example a brother who's into the deen and stuff decides to marry a girl who's not even Muslim, right? And he thinks he's just going to convert her and make things changes, and that's not how this works, right? Maybe she will say yes now, but later on she's not going to do it. So you just started your marriage with a gap thinking you're going to fix it. than if you went and married a practicing, sister. So you kind of use your. Also, it also depends on the families what they value the most. If a family is really really culture oriented, they better stick to their culture. I'm talking about like they're not gonna do anything differently. But if people are like there are some people who are very experimental, then that works for them. It's fine. There's no issues. We see in interracial marriages all the time in very successful, happy families. Again, it depends how you see the differences and how you're going to embrace it. You're either going to see it as a valuable asset, or you're just going to be criticizing and picking on the person, right? Either you or the family, both, right? You're either going to say, wow, she comes from this culture, mashallah, she knows this language, or he knows this thing, and you're just going to admire that, right? Or you would be like, look, now we have to deal with this too. See, I told you not to marry her. Like it all depends on the mindset and how you're going to put that positivity there. Yeah. If your lens is going to be negative, no matter even if she's your going to cousin or he's your cousin, you're going to find lots of issues in there.
There's a fine line between culture and religion anyway, right? Because it's one thing to say that somebody should not marry, that it's better for somebody to marry somebody that's Muslim. But if somebody's so stuck in their own culture that they won't consider a sister or a brother from a completely different culture, even though they're a good Muslim, then in my personal opinion, that's a problem.
So it is.
Culture can override religion a lot.
Yeah.
I have personal experiences, and a lot of times it's the negative
Yeah.
things from those cultures
Yeah.
that negatively impact your relationship.
But see, again, it comes to the fact that what is really influencing their life. So I was like that too. Like especially when I was single, I used to get really heated up on this topic. Like, you should look at my religion, my personality, my values. All of that should come first before anything else. Like I said, I used to get heated up in this topic a lot. Brother, isn't there like a hadith about that too? I felt. I think after hearing something like that, I calmed down.
Choose a woman, number one, for four things.
Right.
For her deen, number one is for her religion, or religiosity, basically. And then
Status and
status for her wealth,
yeah.
or family, and then her beauty, last.
Yes.
And then he says, give preference for the deen.
Give preference to the
Priority.
yeah. But somebody again, like if a person is so stuck and they that's how they were brought up. Like if they can't tolerate that, it's better to stay away from that person. So when I was, for example, looking for marriage, my number one question was, I was very smart about that. What do you consider your culture to be? And so I remember once I asked this one guy, he just went on about his culture. He really thought I was talking about his culture. I said, what do you consider your culture to be? Because you might have a background of another country, but that's not what you consider your culture. You might consider the American culture to be your culture. You might consider your deen to be your culture. Islam is your culture, because that's how I saw my culture to be Islam, right? So depending on what that person, how they are viewing things, we should not belittle that, right? Because that's the reality. You're not going to go into a marriage trying to go fix and change things, right? If that's their reality, that's what it is.
I mean, when two people are married, they belong to different families. They have different set of values in their homes, and when they get married, two mentalities are mixing. Actually.
Yeah.
So how much you appreciate each other, it's only the thing.
Yeah.
Makes the marriage successful or failure.
Yeah.
If you think that my raising is the best thing, I did that, my home, and you're not changing yourself according to your circumstances, you will always in problem.
Yeah.
You're always criticizing your life partner.
And then no matter, like I said, even if that person is even your cousin, it's not going to work. Because if it's just always, there's no compromise, there's no husn done, right? You cannot see that stuff, then it's not going to, regardless, there's going to be issues.
I mean, like me and my husband have some difference in opinions.
Right.
Sometimes I see things differently, he sees in other way. Sometimes we have arguments, but when I feel that now he's getting
Right.
too, so I stop it. Okay, just
Yeah.
leave it.
Mm.
What he says, listen to it.
Right.
When he cools down, then he will understand
Yeah.
what my point is.
Yeah. Right. Because of that mix of the heat, it's not going to go anywhere.
Point.
Yeah. And also with age and wisdom, things change. Slowly. Like what I mean is, like, some people, they're very stuck to a certain ideology until they live life a little more longer, and then they see things are not how they think it is, and it changes.
With me, like in the beginning, yeah, I have certain issues. I don't like certain ways you do things. But my parents always give me another view. Look at this way.
Mm-hmm.
Why you don't see like this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you do like that way, my possibility will help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Change the view and it's help.
Yeah. Having that cognitive, yeah.
Who is giving you the
Right.
this, right things to do
Mm-hmm.
it way?
I mean, again, like how I was saying earlier, like having that accepting influence. So allowing yourself to say, I don't know everything, and picking, like, the benefits of things, and for your benefit to learn, right? If people are just, like, unfortunately, there are some people who thinks that they know it all, and they know it everything, and they don't even care to attend a seminar or nothing. They're like, oh, we're good to go. I've already attended this. I'm good to go. And that's where I feel like you can tell a personality of someone who's humble enough to be open to opinions, and learn from others regardless of their age. So
Thank you.
and please forgive me. I've said anything. It's for me. My mistakes are mine, not for the Khalil Center, or from, if I said anything about the Deen, it's my mistakes in this Islamic perspective as well. I hope you benefited something, and if there was any harm, it's from me. May Allah forgive me. Oh, yeah,
Thank you, Sister Nabia, for coming all the way from the Bay Area, sharing this presentation with us. And subhanAllah, there are a lot of need to discuss these, issues and topics. And the need is only rising. That's what we're seeing in our community. SubhanAllah, there's a lot of people who needed to listen to this. Alhamdulillah, we did record it on YouTube. So share the link with anyone that might need to listen to this, inshallah. And we'd like to thank also Al Khalil Center, where Sister Nabia works. Alhamdulillah, they are, by the way, doing an amazing job, because they came out at a time where there's nothing out there. People couldn't find Muslim counselors. And Alhamdulillah, they created an institution. I know, did they start in Chicago or in the Bay Area?
Chicago.
They started in Chicago as a separate institution or part of a big masjid?
Like the main headquarters, Chicago.
Oh.
Yeah. It's still there.
And then I know they opened in the MCA, right? Are they still there, or now they're separate? Yeah, mashallah. And MCA is the largest community in the Bay Area. So if you need, they have psychiatrists, psychologists, IDs, MFTs like Sister Nabia, marriage and family therapists. So all kinds of specialties in mental health services and counseling. This is amazing. Alhamdulillah, we can always reach out to them. They are very reachable from here. That's, alhamdulillah, we've been trying to reach out for a while now, and we're gonna, inshallah, invite Sister Nabia again in the future, bi'idhnillah, and others as well, bi'idhnillah. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you everyone for coming. Inshallah, now it's Salatul Maghrib time, so we'll perform Salatul Maghrib, and then please help yourself. There's some snacks, fruits, and refreshments in the back. Thank you for attending tonight. Jazakumullah khair.
You're so funny. You're welcome.
What's your name, by the way? Oh. But you familiar, so I was like my mom.